food interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Welcome to Orla Santi by Domes Resorts, where we're celebrating with an incredible £60,000 to be won. Plus, we'll give you a fine gold bullion bar worth over £5,000. Don't miss your chance to win over £65,000 worth of prizes.
For a chance to win, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
The GB News audience is different, it's unique, because they see through the nonsense.
We want to debate with each other, we want to listen and maybe learn.
We have a chat. That's what we do. We try and have a chat.
They'll watch my programme while they're eating their tea, they'll watch breakfast while they're busy getting their kids ready for school.
We want to hear what matters to you, what is news for you.
And what's brought you out here today? What are the biggest issues affecting this particular area?
The audience are the best thing about GB News.
Their friends, their family. They're people who need to have their voices heard.
They're passionate about the channel, they're passionate about what they believe in.
The one thing about GB News is you get a chance to speak.
Talk to me about why so many people have gathered here today.
Do you want to say something back in return? The GB News audience is what makes GB News special.
It's incredible to see. They shape our programmes, they shape our output, and they shape our channel.
That's what makes us the fearless champion of Britain.
Christys, tonight.
What's your takeaway here? Because mine is very, very personal. I can't separate the personal from the public. I feel like a mug.
Oh, James O'Brien says he feels like a mug. If you could just drink that in for a second, that's fantastic. It's got even worse for the plagiarism professor and DEI final boss, Jason Arday, and...
قم في بلدية ويستمنستر حاليا بتغيير طريقة عمل الإسكان الاجتماعي.
Brafnar zanatam sayarze Westminster Council amrar housing register system re budlaitam.
Yes, well, that was an advert on how to get social housing in various different foreign languages, but the Tories say they now want to boot foreign nationals out of council houses. Is that OK? Plus?
All it does is dismiss the lived experience of trans people and protects nobody.
Slightly weird video, that. Why are MPs, including that Labour MP who was on a sun lounger at the time, and the NHS just ignoring the law on single-sex spaces? And
200,000 people have turned up on our beaches illegally, including murderers and terrorists. That's more people than stormed the beaches of Normandy on D-Day. Reform will respond by ordering His Majesty's Royal Navy into the Channel to defend Britain's borders.
Seems like a long time ago they announced that, doesn't it? But it was just earlier this week. Should we put the Navy in the Channel? And
Nothing beats a Jet Two holiday. And right now.
well, well done for so many of you getting here tonight, because apparently just a 90-second power outage caused delays on trains right across England. That's all it took to knock out trains all the way across England. Why are trains so rubbish in this country? And, look, very serious story this. It was revealed today, huge blunders at the Met Police allowed a serial murderer and rapist to commit his crimes. Does Mark Rowley, the head of the Met, have to resign? On our panel tonight, we have got making her debut on the panel, so thank you very much, is political commentator Ada Akpala. We are joined by broadcasting royalty Christo Fufas. We've got the editorial director at Guido Fawkes, Adam Cherry. And everybody's favourite trade unionist, who today remarkably has got a suit on, is Andy 12. Oh, there we go. All right, so get ready, Britain. Here we go. It's gone from bad to worse for the plagiarism professor. Next.
Very good evening to you from the newsroom. Back to Patrick shortly. First, though, the headlines tonight at 9. A convicted sex offender described as a jobless loner has today been found guilty of murdering 2 women, raping a third and sexually assaulting others on public transport. 40-year-old Simon Levy killed Carmenza Valencia Trujillo on March last year and Cheryl Wilkins last year too, after a string of police prosecution and court failures led him to be free and continue his crime spree. Outside court, Detective Chief Inspector Neil John said Levy targeted vulnerable women in secluded areas of the capital after years of sexual offending in public places.
Simon Levy is a dangerous and predatory offender. His crimes were calculated, cruel and deeply disturbing. Throughout the trial, he has shown complete disregard for the victims and victim survivor, despite being fully aware of the lasting and devastating impact of his actions.
Well, tonight, the Met Police has admitted that Ms Wilkins' life could have been saved after Levy's risk to women was downgraded before the attacks. The police watchdog is now also investigating alleged failures by Met officers in how he managed to be released from prison. One constable has been served a gross misconduct notice and a detective sergeant served a misconduct notice. Earlier today, we also heard from the Met's Deputy Assistant Commissioner, Kevin Southworth, who admitted the system failed to stop Levy, describing him as a prolific serial sexual predator, finally brought to justice today, but too late for his victims.
His behaviour is self-evidently that of a very prolific serial sexual predator who seeks his sexual gratification in a number of ways, whether it's opportunistically offending against strangers on the underground system, or whether it's targeting sex workers in the most horrific and harrowing fashion. So I think ultimately what we're talking about here is a serial sexual predator who's finally been brought to justice, but ultimately one too late to help the victims.
Next to news in Scotland, where police have launched an urgent manhunt for a convicted child rapist who escaped from staff in Perth city centre this morning. Cliff Lyons-Dobby was convicted of raping a 10-year-old girl in Glasgow while on bail for sexually abusing a 12-year-old boy in 1990. Police say the public should not approach him and call officers immediately with any sightings. Well, next, some breaking news emerging from the counter-terror police force that they have referred themselves to the police watchdog tonight after admitting a potentially relevant lead was missed in an earlier investigation now being linked to the murder of Anne Widdecombe. The case relates to an attempted burglary in Greater London reported to the Metropolitan Police in April of last year. That investigation was supported by counter-terrorism policing but was later closed after no arrests were made. Police now say a line of inquiry which may have been relevant was not identified or pursued at the time, triggering a mandatory conduct referral to the IOPC. And in other breaking news tonight, Spain has said it will bring back border checks on flights and ships arriving from Italy immediately as an immigration row between Madrid and Rome continues to escalate. It means from midnight on Saturday, passengers arriving by air or sea from Italy will face passport, nationality and visa checks. The Spanish government says the move is a response to persistent, irregular migratory pressure and will remain in place until at least September. It comes after Italy imposed its own controls following a mass migration incident involving Spain's African enclave of Ceuta. Here, asylum seekers have been removed from properties in Thetford for their safety after a third night of anti-immigration unrest. Norfolk Police says 2 more people were arrested last night following disorder in the town. It comes after officers were subjected to significant aggression on Wednesday, with one hit by a rock, another bitten and a third spat at. The Chief Constable says anyone involved in the disorder will face the full force of the law. And the Conservatives have pledged today to end council housing for foreign nationals. Under that policy, Kemi Badenoch says almost 230,000 non-EU foreign national households would be evicted and then barred from new tenancies in future. The Tory leader says the move would free up homes for British people and help reduce the country's rising welfare bill. But Labour insists local authorities are already prioritising local residents and British people for social housing. Those are the latest headlines for now. Now, I've always wanted to say this. Get ready, Britain. Here we go.
You can now watch GB News live across the United States of America and the world on Truth Plus. Scan the QR code to find out more or visit gbnews.com/truth.
Great to see so many of you here. Now, this week saw the downfall of the Diversity, Equity and Inclusion final boss. Yes, the DEI final boss is this guy, Jason Arday. He became the youngest black professor at Cambridge University, once seen as one of the world's best academic institutions. It began to unravel for Mr Arday when people actually bothered to look into his CV. So he claimed to have been a visiting professor at Glasgow University. That wasn't true. He claimed to be a visiting professor at Ohio University. That wasn't true. He claimed to hold a master's degree in psychodynamic practices from Birkbeck, University of London. In fact, here he is saying it.
And he said to me, look, Jay, like, if you're going to do mental health, like, you got to have some credibility. So you can't just write about it. You actually do need to go and kind of upskill yourself. And so I ended up doing a master's in psychodynamic practice at Birkbeck, and that ended up being one of the most important things I did. And because of it, out of it, I became a qualified counsellor.
Well, they reportedly say there's no record of him being there, so there you go. He claimed to be the author of a published book titled Being Young, Black and Male, Challenging the Dominant Discourse. The publisher, Palgrave Macmillan, confirmed the project was actually abandoned years ago and never printed. He did a PhD thesis in 2015. Analysis of his thesis revealed more than 180 separate passages that were identical or nearly identical to a 2009 thesis by a Brunel University student. He claimed someone had sent a pig's head to his family home as a threat. The police say there's no record of the incident. There's a theme here, isn't there? He claimed to have been on the TV show 7 Up.
I just turned 18 when I learned to read and write. And I was part of a program, actually, which it doesn't really exist anymore, but it was called 7 Up at the time.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, that show aired 20 years before he was born. So he really is a genius, isn't he? Amazing. He claimed to have run about 600 miles in 6 days, which is impossible unless you Mo Farah. He claimed to have completed 30 marathons in 35 days, but he actually even stated that on the 21st marathon, he suffered an epileptic fit and a hairline fracture that caused his leg to swell to twice the size. But don't worry, he did manage to run the final 9 marathons, regardless. It's unbelievable. Hilariously, Jason Arday's memoirs are due to be published next week. Some journalists got hold of a book proposal for his memoirs. There are reportedly some remarkable things in there. So this is what they're saying in The Atlantic, which is an outlet. A mystical woman in Brazil touched him and told him that he would experience suffering, but was ultimately destined for greater things. He claimed that he'd been mugged and beaten up by some kids years ago, but he went to court and he urged the judge not to send them to prison. These students later turned out to be his students at an unnamed London university who were so touched by his act of kindness and mercy that they've gone into doing things like rehabilitation work themselves. He also claims to be the godfather of one of their children. He appears to have changed his story about how old the boys were, because they were younger than him initially, and now it turns out that they were 4 years older than him. He claimed that he'd made a suicide attempt during the pandemic. Now, it seems that if it was true, of course, then it was actually, during the pandemic. 2 brain tumours, he says he had, suffered a mini stroke, but in his book it reportedly doesn't mention anything about brain tumours, I don't think. I think it says that he had testicular cancer. He claims to have been hit by a car, put in an induced coma. His parents were told to turn life support off, but he miraculously woke up. It's baffling, isn't it? It is impossible to verify loads of that stuff, but when the publishers were asked if they'd even bothered to check, they did not respond to the journalist. Talking of journalists, the Met Police spent 4 months investigating a Times reporter who was daring to examine whether or not Jason Arday was a complete fraud. Apparently, he was accused of harassment just for doing his job, and now the head of the Met, Mark Rowley, has apologised.
To challenge you on this one, the Metropolitan Police is accused of press censorship for investigating a journalist who tried to expose a Cambridge professor who's alleged to have committed plagiarism. Jack Grove, a reporter for the Times Higher Education, a 4-month investigation. Why was that necessary, Commissioner?
We dropped the ball on that one, Nick. Let's not sort of beat about the bush.
No, we just dropped the ball. We just dropped... Sorry, ruined a bloke's life for 4 months, didn't we? Oh, gosh, you know. It's outrageous that they investigated a journalist for 4 months for just doing research. It just shows you what the police's priorities are. But despite all of the very obvious warning signs about Arday, Cambridge made him a professor. They even said that he was the best in the world at what he does.
The Board of Electors on your interview day were absolutely unanimous. We are so lucky to have you. You are the best in the world in terms of the research that you do.
Yes. She's a senior fellow at Homerton College, and the bloke in charge of that college is a man called Lord Simon Woolley. He signed a letter supporting Arday, and his name is still attached to that letter, although he removed the title of his college for some reason. I don't know why he did that. We approached Lord Woolley for comment. We are yet to hear back. In case you're wondering how well Lord Woolley's college is actually doing, by the way, they are right at the bottom, or very near the bottom, of Cambridge colleges for academic achievement. So, anyway, I had a look at Cambridge's recruitment policies. Imagine my shock when it turned out that they have an inclusive hiring programme. So the university deploys gender-biased decoders to strip stereotypic language from job advertisements. It also mandated unconscious bias awareness training for appointment selection committees. In a period when we have made, this is them, in a period when we have made equality and diversity training mandatory for all staff involved in recruitment decisions and introduced unconscious bias training, we have seen a change in the success rate. Well, not so much, to be fair, when it came to Jason Arday. Today, Cambridge announced that it was going to review all of those processes. Look, it has exposed the idiocy of a lot of people on the left and some of those grifters. Take James O'Brien, for example. He supported Arday, he backed him, and then now he's been made to look like a complete mug.
What's your takeaway here? Because mine is very, very personal. I can't separate the personal from the public. I feel like a mug, actually.
Let's just take a little moment to appreciate that, shall we? I think drinking that picture there of James O'Brien feeling like a mug. I mean, it is absolutely fantastic. Look at that. No, leave it up there. Leave it up there. Yeah. Oh, brilliant. People like James O'Brien and staff at Cambridge University were so desperate for the DEI pin-up that they didn't bother to check whether or not any of what Arde was saying was actually true. And then people who called him out were branded a racist or investigated by the police. And this, ladies and gents, is why I think DEI needs to end. But let's get the views of my panel on this. Christy, I'll start with you. What do you make of this fantastic story about Jason Arde?
It is a fantastic story. I mean, it's the most amazing story. So let me get this right. He was non-verbal, autistic, couldn't read or write. Then he ran all these marathons with a broken leg. He had an epileptic fit, but he also had some sort of other fit. He had brain cancer, claimed to. He had testicular cancer as well. He's like a walking episode of Holby City, isn't he? I mean, how is he... Without the sex, of course, because there's a lot of that in Holby City. How is this man functioning? I don't quite understand.
Not very well at the moment.
I mean, the Met Police, they're right. The Met Police, they're right to say they dropped the ball. That was not a reference to the testicular cancer. Important to make that very clear. But I think there's a really, really important point here, right? Well, there's a lot of important points, but firstly, you cannot hail someone being hired, anyone being hired, and then whatever trait they might have, whatever background they might have, whatever minority trait they might have, when you hire them, say, oh my God, isn't this brilliant because we've got this brilliant black professor, and hail it when it goes right, and then when it goes wrong, anyone that brings up their race is told that they're not allowed to. Well, sorry, you can't have it both ways, firstly. Secondly, all of those people who have complained that DEI, which is probably something that started with good intentions, have said, well, hang on, is this fair? And people are being hired with positive discrimination, and these people are maybe getting jobs that they're not qualified for. What happened to merit? All of those people were called racist, right? Now, it appears they've all been proven right, and what are the people calling them? Racist, for actually being right about it all along. But finally, just really important, right? I think it is great when you have someone who is, you know, from a deprived background, lower class background, if they're gay, if they're black, if they're bi, if they're Thai, I don't care what they are, but if they make it to a position of power, I think that's great. But that trait is incidental, i.e., isn't it brilliant that Christo is on this panel tonight? Did you know he's as gay as Christmas? It's an additional trait. It's not why I'm here. And we've got it the wrong way round. Do you see what I mean? It's an incidental thing. You know, isn't it wonderful that, you know, Andy Burnham is our Prime Minister, is not said very often in this studio. Incidentally, he's from Manchester, in case you didn't know. It's incidental. It's not the thing that we should be hiring people for.
Fine. I'll bring you in on this one. What do you make of this Jason Arde story there?
Well, I agree with you that it may have started with good intentions, this whole idea of diversity and inclusion, but the road to hell, as we know, is paved with good intentions. And I think, definitely echoing what Patrick said, the reason why DEI really needs to die is because what it produces is substandard people.
So not DEI, DIE.
Exactly. Well, you know, because what people are doing is that they are sacrificing merit for diversity and inclusion. DEI doesn't introduce excellence or equality. What it does is it gets someone in with no qualifications checked because they thought it was racist. And the funny thing about it, as we see this happen all the time, people are more outraged about the scrutiny, even getting the police involved and the institutions involved, than the fact that a professor who is getting paid to teach people has actually pushed his way through.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? It's absolutely insane. And if I was at that university, by the way, and he was teaching me, I'd be like, I kind of want my money back. This is ridiculous. The idea that you've gone and done this. There's a gentleman on the front row, and then we'll go to Andy and then Adam as well. So what would you like to say about this story?
Surely, as it's such a high university institution, it should be investigated for its failings.
Good. What? So an independent investigation?
I would say that there is failings in these societies.
Yeah. OK. Well, it's a solid point. Well, go on, Andy. What's your views on this?
I think that Jordan raises a good point, and me and Adam were exploiting the goodwill of the 2-for-1 cocktail deal. At the,
I wondered if you were going to bring this up.
Pub.
You have, yeah.
We were speaking to a good comrade who actually came out in favour of Ardé, which I suppose is the Ofcom balance required for this debate. Right. Where actually, he is actually the greatest in the world at what he does, and that is, conning people. This is class. I actually think this is really quite funny. He's not, as our comrade said, he's not ripping off grannies or pensioners. He's actually taking the mick out of the chattering classes. The real great elites of our society, and I think it kind of exposes how shallow and easy to deceive they are, and the fundamentals of what they're built up on, especially in this kind of post-Blair era of education, is just actually not that deep. And I think I'll be reading the book next week when it comes out. That's all I can say.
You don't get to do that, sorry. No. It's your side of politics.
Christo, Fufas, come on.
Christo, hang on. Right, I think we're going to
Christo, please.
Anyone who gets James O'Brien to admit he's a mug deserves a knighthood or something. We are clearly misdiagnosing this. But you're right, Andy and I were having a chat with some chaps earlier, and he made this very, very astute
convincing.
I'm totally convinced of it. He's holding up a mirror to academia and, as you say, the chattering class, and saying, look, I took you to the brink here. I actually got you to believe some real nonsense. Maybe you should have a think about how easy it is for me to do that. Now, whether it's an investigation or maybe they take a more subtle approach, I don't know. But if there's some good in it, it's that, hold on, this wasn't some, it's not some little small college. This was University of Cambridge that was beguiled by a complete fraud. Well, seemingly. Don't sue me. But...
Yeah,
great. Well, he's done. There's a public service here.
Yeah, it is absolutely insane that someone could tell that level of whopper.
Is he a reform plant? Reform want to get rid of GI. I mean, actually, this would be the most...
There'll be a movie in a year's time, all right? It'll be like a Sacha Baron Cohen thing. It's a long con. He's actually, he's a Manchurian candidate or something.
On a more serious point, I do feel quite sorry for the people who were supervised by him. He was a professor, whether it's the undergraduates, the masters, or, even the PhD people that were supervised by him, or, colleagues who authored papers with him. Because they have been deceived, they are real people. And, actually, I don't really... I think now he's resigned, we should probably leave it. The media does hound people to quite nasty ends.
Look at how this has to happen. The people that back.
That's kind of the point I was making. Yeah.
This was what I was going to come in and say. I think we really need to move away. Well, not we, but sort of the chattering classes need to move away from this pursuit for the first. Right, the first black, the first gay, the youngest, that's not interesting. What's interesting is what you can say and what you can do and what you can deliver. It's nice to know, our sexual orientation and where we come from, but that's not interesting in these spaces. It's what you bring. And if you've watched some of his lectures, he doesn't actually bring that much.
Can I just to your point as well, who knew that Cambridge couldn't do research? They're a university.
I know. Well, look, Jason Ardé has previously denied the allegations. He also said, whilst criticism is an inevitable part of academic life, what I have experienced has gone far beyond academic scholarly disagreements. I will return stronger, wiser, and with the same determination that has always defined my journey.
Oh, dear.
A Cambridge University spokesman said, the University of Cambridge has begun an investigation following new information about Professor Ardé's academic qualifications and honorary appointments. In order to ensure a fair process, we will not comment further until it has been concluded. Right, OK, fine. Well, look, it's time for the Great British Giveaway now, and it's your chance to become an academic professor at the University of Cambridge. No, it's not really. It's not. It's loads of cash. Thank you for doing it.
Welcome to Orlis Santi by Domes Resorts. I'm in one of their beautiful sea view rooms. Luxurious, right? And there's just 2 weeks left to see how you too could be enjoying the 5-star lifestyle. There's over £65,000 in cash and gold to be won. First, you can bank an incredible £60,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. That's cash you could save, spend the rest of the year spending, or just relax somewhere like here. the award-winning Soma Spa. We'll also give you a fine gold bullion bar worth over £5,000. Just make sure you don't miss out as lines close on the 21st of August.
For a chance to win, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Allow.
Stop.
You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk then? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain is not just a geographical expression. We are a people bound together by history and culture that are distinctively British. Join me to celebrate our music, theatre, artworks and literature, which we can explore and enjoy together.
Everybody's welcome.
Sunday with Michael Portillo. Every Sunday at 11 a.m. on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you. Bulletins on GB News,
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter?
So that's a very live question.
Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way.
You will not want to miss it, trust me. The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
All right, welcome back, everybody. So finally, a year after the Supreme Court ruled that a woman is indeed a woman, new official guidance has come into force across the UK this week. Single-sex spaces open to the public, including toilets and changing rooms, should be organised according to biological sex. So the Equality and Human Rights Commission says that trans people should either use gender-neutral facilities or those matching their biological sex. But with some left-wing councils already declaring they will just defy the law, pledging to keep these spaces inclusive, is this what's happening now? How can we just ignore the law? Let's get the views of my panel on this. I'll start with you on this. I just don't. So can I just not pay tax now? I don't like it. I don't like that law. I don't like the law about speed limits. I'll just drive as fast as I want. I mean, this is a rule, isn't it?
It's just absolutely absurd. And, you know, the party that's so pro-law in some areas, suddenly when it fits them, then they completely dismiss the law. This was already settled a year ago. And you have 16 months after, millions of taxpayers' pounds as well gone to this. And here they are recreating, not even doing a new law, they're actually just reconfirming what was already said. And with all due respect to everyone's individual lived experiences, we actually have bigger things to worry about than when someone wants to go and weed themselves. And apparently there was a lady, a trans woman, who apparently weed herself because she couldn't use the right toilet after this. Like, come on, guys, let's get a little bit of a grip, I think.
Well, quite literally, guys, in that sense, actually. But yeah, Adam, your views on it. Well, this is what I mean, there's also that Labour MP as well who did that kind of weird video. I think Emily Thornberry's come out and posted something as well.
You always get this. Yeah, I mean, I was outside the Supreme Court when they made that ruling that sex means biological sex in law, which is an obvious, a very sane position to take in the eyes of the law. And it's taken, what, you say, over a year, 16 months to even issue this guidance. And then the NHS specifically is still refusing to set a deadline for when they're going to implement it within wards. And you'd think medical professionals would have a very clear understanding of what biological sex is, but apparently not. So I hope they figure this out quickly, but it just seems like there's such institutional resistance from this. You mentioned a few of those MPs. There'll be a lot of that within, you know, within Whitehall and beyond the Quangos. There's going to be so much resistance to it for the next God knows how long.
Yeah. And what about you, Christo? Your thoughts?
Well, as a trans woman, Jason Arday has said a lot about this that I think should be listened to, and it's something else that's gone in her book, I should say. Look, I absolutely agree that sex is sex, biological sex is sex. The fact it took the Supreme Court so many months to actually work that out is ridiculous. But the one thing I will say, though, and I don't want to get lynched on this panel, is where are trans people if there isn't a gender-neutral toilet meant to go to the toilet? My worry is that whilst this is absolutely correct and absolutely reasonable that the Supreme Court needs to rule on this and is right, where do they go? I don't know whether it's so.
Where do they go?
Well, like, what if
you go to wherever you...
OK, all right, well, then let me give you a scenario. You are a trans woman and you've had the complete surgery, right? You look more female than you do now male, even though biologically you're still male. Is that person supposed to go into a men's toilet?
Yeah.
By the law, yes.
Yeah, so then, by the converse one of that then, if you're a trans man, you've got a hairy chest, you've got a beard, you've got everything else, but you are a trans man, you're supposed to then be in a woman's toilet. So you will have a scenario where women are in toilets with people with beards. Now, biologically, that will be another woman, but it will be someone with a beard. So this is why I worry that it's not going to solve the problem.
I understand. And the other alternative that was put out by this guidance is to actually introduce sort of lockable, self-inclusive cubicles. But again, this is going to cost businesses and it's going to cost some taxpayers, if it's in a public building, thousands and thousands of pounds. So if that's the route that has to be taken, then that's fine. But as the law stands today, you go where your biological sex is determined.
And I'm not arguing against that. I'm just trying to point out that some of the practicalities, I think, need to be ironed out so that women aren't sharing spaces with people with beards.
I don't think beards are the problem, Christo.
There are... No, and I get that. I get that, and even though I've got a lovely beard. But the problem is, doesn't that then normalise someone who presents as a male in a woman's toilet? So therefore, if anyone's got ill intent, that's not going to keep women safe.
I'm talking going over to a fellow beard wearer.
Well, quite.
What's your views on that?
I think, really, as it is said, I do agree with Christo on this. I think
I've got it wrong. Everyone.
That's how you know you're in trouble.
I think there are two lines. You know, the first line going down what Christo said about you will have trans men going in who have beards and, you know, look like me, are bigger than me, have bigger beards than me. What's to excuse, you know, if I had ill intent going to a woman's toilet and say, well, I'm a trans man, I can do what I want. I think that is the first issue. And the second issue is the compliance angle. You're going to ask small business owners to intervene when they think something is wrong. And I think that's an unfair burden to put on them. You know, if it's a small cafe and there's only one toilet of each, you know, are you really going to ask them to go, you know, up to, you know, a slightly masculine-looking woman going, well, you know, actually, I really need to check, are you cisgender, are you transgender? You know, I think that's quite unfair to put that legal responsibility on those people. And I think on the practicality, it's just, you know, I would not want to see, a beautiful woman who's got long hair and, breasts and all the rest of it in my toilet.
But yes, OK, fine. But then the flip side of that is as awkward as that might be sometimes, and as difficult as that might be, is it not a price worth paying to stop basically women being sexually assaulted in their own spaces by people?
I completely appreciate that argument. It's cisgender straight men that are raping women, not trans women that are raping women.
And how would you prove?
Fundamentally, it's not. With this,
that is actually factually not true.
I can promise you that more straight cisgender men rape women.
Yeah, hang on a minute. But
that's the real issue here.
That's a ridiculous argument because
it's not, because now I've got the right to go into a women's toilet if I want to. I can go. I'm a trans man. I can go and rape you. It's a mad thing to do.
A little bit of a straw man here because there are obviously loads more straight biological men than there are trans people.
And it gives them an excuse to be in women's toilets now.
Well, no,
that's all it is. If we're going on this women's safety thing,
do you honestly think it's going to be as easy as that for you two to walk into a women's toilet?
How would you, if this becomes normalised, which is my worry, how would that cafe owner, if I said to them, well, look, I'm a trans man, I'm biologically female, what are they going to do? Are they going to check? I mean,
do you honestly think... Can we just get out of the lines of absurd here, right? Because
Patrick, it's not even that. It's not even a check. I know trans men that have penises that have it on their ID that they're men.
Yeah.
They are legally, as far as it can go, unless you pull out the birth certificate. Right. They are legally men. What is to stop me as someone who is a legal man going, well, actually, biologically, I'm a woman. Come on.
Are you telling me, are both of you seriously telling me
I think
that
rapists will, yes.
That you cannot very often, very easily tell if someone has been through gender reassignment?
Sometimes you can, but sometimes they are more muscular and more butch than any of us.
To put it into perspective, this will affect 0.5% people.
Which is exactly why it's ridiculous why the Supreme Court is dealing with this. Kids are starving, pensioners are freezing to death in the winters, and we're talking about whether or not people have penises and vaginas. It's just a distraction. It's the cultural distraction from the real class war. That's all it is.
It's not a cultural distraction.
It is.
This has come about from the concerns. This is why you have so many institutions like Rosie Parker's institutions and so on, because women have addressed have given concerns about this, about male going into women's spaces.
And this is going to give them more licence.
I agree with you that it shouldn't have gone to the Supreme Court, but unfortunately, with male entering women's spaces, they had to intervene. But in the grand scheme of things, this will affect 0.5% of people, and that's why I think.
No, but it will affect all women, and I don't agree with you. It should have gone to the Supreme Court because it needed to be clarified, and women should be listened to. I agree with that.
Yeah. OK, all right. Well, anyway, so when we come back, a 90-second electrical fault is reportedly to blame for 2 days of travel chaos across the country, which left thousands of passengers stranded. So why can't Britain's trains work better? That's next.
I hope we haven't forgotten anything.
Travel insurance, I tick that box.
Yeah, but remember what you forgot last year.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Heat is still a big talking point across parts of Europe at the moment, as well as the fact that there's a lot of dry weather not helping with the ongoing wildfire risk in many places. For Spain, yes, there will be a few showery bursts of rain around tomorrow, but not many, and temperatures are set to rise again as we go into next week. It's still hot across Italy, and there could be some thundery downpours here and there, as well as across parts of Greece, the potential for some thundery showers here. Lots of dry weather into next week, with temperatures for some rising.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Good evening. Coming to you from the Met Office, this is your latest GB News weather update. There's more wet weather to come across northern parts this weekend, but further south, where we really are in desperate need for some significant rain, it's staying drier and turning hotter, all because we have high pressure dominating here. Further north, a different story, with a front gradually making its way southeastwards this weekend. It's already brought a fair amount of rain to northwestern parts of Scotland today, and will continue to do so as we go overnight. Many other places will have a dry night, but a bit of cloud and a few spots of rain pushing into Northern Ireland later on as we head towards dawn. With lots of clear skies across England and Wales, it is going to be a fresh night. Temperatures in some places similar to last night could get as low as maybe 4, 5, 6 Celsius, that kind of thing. possibly as low as 3 Celsius, perhaps in some prone spots. So we wake up tomorrow morning to a bit of a fresh start. There will be a bit of cloud around some parts of England and Wales, but it should be mostly bright. Similar for parts of Northern Ireland, but the chance of some thicker cloud and some rain is there, especially in the west. And then southern parts of Scotland, a few outbreaks of rain here across more central northern parts, especially northwestern areas. Well, here it's going to be wet and quite blustery. Then that front, as I mentioned, does gradually make its way southeastwards through the day. So rain spilling in across Northern Ireland and across much of Scotland too, perhaps reaching some parts of northern England later on in the afternoon, maybe North Wales as well, seeing a few showers perhaps. Elsewhere across England and Wales, often dry, well, actually pretty much totally dry. There'll be some sunshine as well and temperatures higher than today, getting into the high 20s Celsius. That rain in the north edges a little bit further southwards as we head into Sunday, so central southern Scotland, northern England, Northern Ireland having a fairly wet day, a bit drier across the far north of Scotland, but the sunniest weather will be across central and southern England, where we're going to see temperatures getting back into the low 30s with more dry and at times hot weather to come next week.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
Just a 90-second power failure was all it took to cause 2 days of train delays. A momentary electrical fault at a control centre in Network Rail in Manchester caused major delays yesterday afternoon, leaving thousands of passengers stranded throughout the country. National Rail confirmed that events meant delays would continue into today. So, look, I mean, come on, is this all it takes? What is going on with trains in this country? Before we get on to the bloke who wants to nationalise them all, of course. And what is going on here? I mean, Britain just doesn't work, does it? That's all it takes to grind it to a halt.
Nothing works, does it? Yeah. Trains, hospitals, schools, it's all broken. And I don't know, how do you fix this? Andy, what's your solution?
Well, I think...
Here we go.
Ooh, of course.
Come on.
I hear slightly nervous, giggles from the audience there. No, I think this is genuinely, and, I'm sure my right-wing comrades here will tell me that I'm wrong, this is the impact of those 10 years of austerity that we had under George Osborne and under Philip Hammond as chancellors. It was seen as just, cutting the waste at the time, but it's had that long-term effect that will affect us for the next 10, 15, 20 years on from those cuts. If we're cutting public services, things like this are going to happen. Whether it's National Rail...
Maybe Labour shouldn't have spent all the money then? Maybe Labour shouldn't have presided over the biggest financial crisis that this country...
In fairness, I believe it was the American banks that were lending mortgages to people that couldn't pay them back, not in fact Gordon Brown. In fairness, not to come out of the...
possibly predicted that was happening? The best economic mind
seemingly no one.
Be running...
Seemingly no one, Christopher, because it happened for 30 years. The big greatest minds in the private sector of the banking couldn't really... Why are we debating the 2008 economic crisis?
Financial crisis,
austerity.
Yeah.
Because I think those austerity cuts are having a massive term impact.
By
if we
the
look
way,
at the basic
Alistair
things
Darling was going to cut even more severely than I think George Osborne did. I think you got off lightly, according to your own.
I think we're very lucky at Alistair Darling. I think we look at the consequences that we see in our daily lives, in our communities, whether it's the community centres that are closed, whether it's the local diagnostic centres. It's austerity. It's a consequence of austerity.
It's my fault, Patrick.
It's a consequence of austerity.
So this is like the people who don't want to follow the law about toilets. You can't just talk. We've got a segment here. You can't just go on and talk about whatever you want.
It's my fault.
It was Adam Cherry's fault because he said, "How do you fix Britain?" And it was austerity's fault that it was broken. It was Adam Cherry's fault.
I just feel
Guido Fawkes again, trying to discredit the left wing.
The long and short is that Britain doesn't work, and people want to work. People want to go to work. People want to go around their daily lives. And for me, this isn't even about a power cut. This is about a preparedness, a competence issue, a control issue. 90 seconds affecting 5,000 homes, affecting railway where people are going around their daily lives, that, like I said. So you can blame whatever you want, but the government has still been in power. And so where is the competency in getting the country back on its feet?
In
it's
fairness,
not here. Where were the working generators as a backup? Where were the maintenance? And you know, this country is like every little thing, and then it breaks down. It's a heat wave, we can't go to work. It's cold, we can't go to work. Like, come
In
on.
fairness to the government, they don't.
We want to work.
I don't think the transport sector.
They cancel trains quite often because it's autumn and there are leaves on the track.
That's why we need to nationalise it, mate.
Every single year, oh God.
When we bring it under public control, we won't be having none of that. Avanti West Coast.
And I'm sorry, right? You are.
It's okay. I accept your apology, Christo. That's okay.
Nonsense. Yeah, because everyone was talking about how brilliant the trains were before austerity. Right. Now, I'll tell you whose fault this is. This isn't the fault of trans men. Even though everyone shares a toilet on the train. And also, I'll tell you what
trains are you going on?
Well, they do, don't they? They all use the same one. Not the same time. But it is the fault, actually, of small boats and immigration. Another good... another one that we like talking about here. No, we do not have in this country... We are a basket case when it comes to infrastructure. Yes. Do you know... Gatwick Airport this week wanted to extend a runway that already existed by move it 15 feet, and it took them 8 years. We have been talking about a third runway at Heathrow since 1949. Seriously. And we don't build anything. Our population has gone up. We haven't had infrastructure that would catch up with it. It will never, ever catch up. Never expect to get a train and get anywhere ever again, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, well, look at HS2 as well, right?
Yeah, HS2 as well. Have you got a very quick point you want to make, sir?
I spent a lot of time in France, and they've got...
Sit back down, sorry. You're close to the camera. That's all right, don't worry. We just had a fabulous view of your midriff there.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
And what a view it was. What a view it was.
Yeah.
As long as it wasn't the double chin.
That's all right. Go on, carry on.
No, I mean, the French have got a reputation for having some of the most sophisticated rail systems in the world, but even the French complain about their railways all the time. You know, they've got issues as well, but foreigners think that France have perfect railways, but the French complain about their railways as well.
If we went to, like, Norway, they're all talking about how great the British trains are.
No.
Maybe it's just an us thing.
Yeah, how can it be so hard just to have a reliable, integrated system? But I definitely think we're on the right track now, though.
No!
Because
we've got to go. What a way to finish. Thank you very much. The government introduced the Railways Bill, which creates Great British Railways, a planned state-owned public body that Labour believes will unify Britain's rail infrastructure and passenger services. Well, that's good. OK, a staggering number of young people, now this is interesting, are out of work or education because they say that they have special needs. But when you realise the true number of it, you've got to ask, is it all genuine? That's coming up next.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Well, Charlie, as most of the viewers know, I would be involved in agriculture. This isn't quite agriculture. It's quite close to it, the cousins of. A lot of things that go on in agriculture are on display here. Thousands of people coming to this site, Ragley Hall, just about 45 minutes out of Birmingham.
We are the modern ruralists, and here today we have the craft yard. We've got 9 different crafts, all demonstrating what they're up to. Here we have the wheelwrights, and they're bonding a wheel here. So this is an ancient craft that's been going for about... Barney Murray's a bit of a legend, quite frankly. He's the national champion, master dry stone waller, comes from North Wales, and he's a bit of a Thor lookalike, so he's quite popular.
GB News, the People's Channel. GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Now, at 16 minutes past 8, the annual bike ride from Yorkshire to London is taking place today, aiming to honour the legacy of the Batley and Spen Labour MP Jo Cox, who was murdered by a far-right terrorist in June of 2016.
Well, the bike ride aims to champion a cause she was passionate about, as this year marks the 10th anniversary of her tragic death.
Kim, if we can just start with you, what is your sister's legacy?
Well, there's so much that we've got to be proud of that's been done in Jo's name. It's just been 10 years since she was murdered, and what has kept us going as a family has been the way that so many amazing people, including people like this amazing man, have done things in Jo's name to show what our country is really about. And you've got all these amazing people today from all different backgrounds, all walks of life, celebrating the things that we have in common, not agreeing on everything.
GB News, the People's Channel. Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
It's a difficult question. Honestly, I don't think I would at this rate, because I think the government tracks, when we say we're fighting for Britain, what are we actually fighting for? The concept of Britain, I don't think exists anymore. When I look at Britain, when I go outside, it doesn't seem to be very British. And I think the core demographic of the people who would normally fight, these white working class boys who, you know, have been fighting for Britain, who we expect just to sacrifice their life in a fight, you know, they've been demonised for decades and decades by the government, by our education system, by the media. Economically, they've been disadvantaged. So why would we expect them to risk their lives when we've demonised them for so long and took them for granted for so long? And this concept of Britain fighting for the British government, you know, the British government has betrayed us.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Welcome back, everybody. So, thank you very much. Now, 40% of young people are in long-term unemployment because they say they've been diagnosed with conditions like ADHD and autism. It's a very high number, that, isn't it? New figures show that more than, 40% of those who spent 4 years or more out of education, employment or training by the age of 21 had been identified as having special educational needs. Now, that number is soaring. This is why it's an important issue as well, because apparently it's more than 1.8 million pupils in England at the moment requiring special educational needs for disabilities in schools. Look, obviously, don't get me wrong, there's plenty of people, the vast majority of those will absolutely need it. But when you look at the sheer numbers there, it does make me think, OK, is there something else going on? I don't know. What do you think, Ada?
I mean, some reports have said that there's an over-diagnosis culture happening, and other people have said that it's just, you know, people being more aware. But for me, whatever the case may be, I just think this is actually a bit of a crisis for me. These are young people, so these are the future potential leaders and potential defenders of the nation. Hopefully, you know, God forbid nothing happens, but that is the reality, the potential future providers as well. So we have to find a way in investing in our young. This is actually the core issue here. Now, around 25% of those are actually working class, so on free school meals. So can you see, again, working class folk are neglected. So instead of worrying about the other cultural war issues, we need to see what's going wrong there. Because I think in 4 years, we're going to add another million to that number. So this is, again, taxpayers' money. Now, for those who are worried about demographic change and mass migration, if you don't invest in your young today, then this is an inevitable problem that we're going to have to deal with in the next couple of years.
Adam?
Yeah, I do think young people have a pretty raw deal, and that is the result of political choices that have been made. But it is also true that, particularly in the case of ADHD and anxiety, we are overdiagnosing, and that is part of the mix here. I think both things can be true at the same time. Youth unemployment has absolutely exploded in the last couple of years since the election of this Labour government. And we can talk about that for a very long time, but, you know, I think that, you know, the young people are still struggling, and you can acknowledge that whilst also acknowledging that things need to change.
I do also think that there has to be some accountability for the damage that relentless lockdowns.
Yeah, COVID's a big part of it as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, we had Bozo Boris locked us all down, backed by loony Labour. At the time, we told so many young people you need to be petrified of going out. Now we're surprised young people are petrified of going out. Could you imagine if we went to war? They'd be in the trenches saying, "Where's my sunflower lanyard?" Do you know what I mean? Honestly, it's a joke, but it is a genuine crisis. And
Definitely.
you are absolutely right, by the way.
And that's
We need to try and
why I
solve it.
agree with you, and I can see that there needs to be more that needs to be looked into in terms of overdiagnosis, but we can't deny the psychological impacts from that time of COVID.
Sure, I can see that.
Very quickly, Andy, sorry, because we've only got about 30 seconds, but, you know, this is less working class. Some people would say it's more shirking.
Sure, wow, very good. That's an old boss's slogan there, I think, from the 70s. No, I don't know. I think it's quite sad. You know, I know we're being jovial and laughing and mocking, but, you know, this is very sad. You know, these kids who have probably had quite a traumatic...
Is it all genuine in your view, though?
I think, you know, they've probably had quite a traumatic childhood, being locked in their houses for, you know, a year and a half, 2 years. And I think we've got better at diagnosing what anxiety and ADHD looks like. You know, I think I don't think a lot of these people are out of employment because they've got ADHD and autism. I think they're just out of employment and they have it, to be honest.
All right, OK, well, there you go. Right, look, coming up, we're going to be looking at the Tories' new plan today to tackle the housing crisis and the immigration crisis in one fell swoop. We'll talk about that and more.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good evening. Coming to you from the Met Office, this is your latest GB News weather update. There's more wet weather to come across northern parts this weekend, but further south, where we really are in desperate need for some significant rain, it's staying drier and turning hotter, all because we have high pressure dominating here. Further north, a different story, with a front gradually making its way southeastwards this weekend. It's already brought a fair amount of rain to northwestern parts of Scotland today, and will continue to do so as we go overnight. Many other places will have a dry night, but a bit of cloud and a few spots of rain pushing into Northern Ireland later on as we head towards dawn. With lots of clear skies across England and Wales, it is going to be a fresh night. Temperatures in some places similar to last night could get as low as maybe 4, 5, 6 Celsius, that kind of thing. Possibly as low as 3 Celsius, perhaps, in some prone spots. So we wake up tomorrow morning to a bit of a fresh start. There will be a bit of cloud around some parts of England and Wales, but it should be mostly bright. Similar for parts of Northern Ireland, but the chance of some thicker cloud and some rain is there, especially in the west. And then southern parts of Scotland, a few outbreaks of rain here across more central northern parts, especially northwestern areas. Well, here it's going to be wet and quite blustery. Then that front, as I mentioned, does gradually make its way southeastwards through the day. So rain spilling in across Northern Ireland and across much of Scotland too, perhaps reaching some parts of northern England later on in the afternoon, maybe North Wales as well, seeing a few showers perhaps. Elsewhere across England and Wales, often dry, well, actually pretty much totally dry. There'll be some sunshine as well and temperatures higher than today, getting into the high 20s Celsius. That rain in the north edges a little bit further southwards as we head into Sunday, so central southern Scotland, northern England, Northern Ireland having a fairly wet day, a bit drier across the far north of Scotland, but the sunniest weather will be across central and southern England, where we're going to see temperatures getting back into the low 30s with more dry and at times hot weather to come next week.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
We're celebrating a golden summer with your chance to win a real gold bar. That's right, a fine gold bullion bar worth over £5,000 could be yours. We're also going to make sure your finances are fabulous with £60,000 in tax-free cash. For a chance to win, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Day.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howard. This is the show where each week we see what's happening in the world of culture, current affairs and politics.
First we'll say, welcome to the UK.
And we're not afraid to use our free speech so that you can use yours.
It's not controversial in the slightest to anyone who hasn't lost their mind.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights at 7 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight on the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you very, very much, everyone who is here. It is 10 p.m. I'm Patrick Christys. Tonight,
what's your takeaway here? Because mine is very, very personal. I can't separate the personal from the public. I feel like a mug.
yes! Yes! Get in! Absolutely! Oh, it got even worse for the plagiarism professor. Sorry, we're not actually doing this story this hour. I just wanted to play you that video again of James O'Brien's I Feel Like a Mug. We're also going to be talking about this.
قم في بلدية ويستمنستر حاليا بتغيير طريقة عمل الإسكان الاجتماعي.
رفتنا زناتم سيار زي ويستمنستر كونسل أمرار housing register system رو بدليتم.
I understood a little bit of that, but the Tories now want to boot foreign nationals out of council houses and ban them from getting more in the future. Is that fair enough? Plus,
200,000 people have turned up on our beaches illegally, including murderers and terrorists. That's more people than stormed the beaches of Normandy on D-Day. Reform will respond by ordering His Majesty's Royal Navy into the Channel to defend Britain's borders.
well, we talk about the Tories' immigration policy. That was one of reforms. Should we just put the Navy in the Channel? Also, this story broke today. Huge blunders at the Met Police allowed a serial murderer and rapist to go on to commit his crimes. I'm asking whether or not Mark Rowley, the head of the Met, has to resign. On our panel tonight, we are joined by political commentator Ada Akpala. We have got broadcasting royalty Christo Fufas. We've got the editorial director at Guido Forbes, Adam Cherry. And we've got everybody's favourite trade unionist. Here's Andy 12. Oh, it's got worse. It's got worse. It's got worse. OK, get ready, Britain. Here we go. No council houses for foreign nationals. Next.
Very good evening to you from the newsroom. The top story tonight at 10. Police, prosecutors and the courts are facing serious questions after a convicted sex offender was let free to roam the streets before murdering 2 women, raping a third and sexually assaulting others on public transport. 40-year-old Simon Levy killed Carmenza Valencia Trujillo and Cheryl Wilkins last year. He was being monitored by the Met Police at the time and was on bail for separate sex attacks. The Metropolitan Police has admitted that Ms Wilkins' life could have been saved after Levy was downgraded as a risk to women before the attacks. Deputy Assistant Commissioner Kevin Southworth from the Metropolitan Police says the case is a collective failure of the system and a tragedy beyond words.
His behaviour is self-evidently that of a very prolific serial sexual predator
who seeks his sexual gratification in a number of ways, whether it's opportunistically offending against strangers on the underground system, or whether it's targeting sex workers in the most horrific and harrowing fashion. So I think ultimately what we're talking about here is a serial sexual predator who's finally been brought to justice, but ultimately one too late to help the victims.
Investigators looking into the death of former MP Anne Widdecombe have reopened an old burglary case after identifying a potential lead that was missed at the time. That attempted burglary was reported to the Metropolitan Police in Greater London last April, but the investigation was closed with no arrests. Officers now say a line of inquiry which may have been relevant was not identified or pursued during the original investigation. The handling of the case has been referred to the IOPC, and the police watchdog is now investigating the conduct of a single staff member at counter-terrorism policing. Spain says it will impose border controls immediately on all air and sea travel from Italy as the migration row between Madrid and Rome intensifies. The checks will come into force from midnight and are due to last for a month. Madrid says passengers arriving from Italy will face passport, nationality and visa checks because of persistent irregular migratory pressure. It comes after Italy imposed its own controls following the arrival of more than 70,000 migrants into Spain's Africa enclave of Ceuta. But Rome says it will not accept ultimatums from Spain. Here, the University of Cambridge is reviewing how it appoints senior academics after the resignation of Professor Jason Arday in the middle of a plagiarism row. Professor Arday, who became Cambridge's youngest black professor, has faced allegations of plagiarism and of exaggerating parts of his CV. Claims, though, he denies. A group of academics has now called for an independent inquiry, with one professor warning the university is facing a massive reputational risk. Cambridge says it is aware of public concern and will continue investigating the circumstances around Professor Jason Arday's appointment. And in Thailand, at least 7 people have been killed and more than 20 injured after a 14-year-old boy opened fire at his home and school on the outskirts of Bangkok. Thailand's Prime Minister says the teenager killed his grandparents before attacking the school, where 5 teachers were shot dead. 9 people remain in a critical condition, with police saying the teenager still had more than 30 bullets left when he turned his gun on himself after being under pressure over his studies. Those are the latest headlines for now. More from the newsroom at 9:30 tomorrow morning. Now, though, let's get back to Patrick.
You can now watch GB News live across the United States of America and the world on Truth Plus. Scan the QR code to find out more, or visit gbnews.com/truth.
Now, foreign nationals will be evicted from council houses and banned from getting new ones. That's what the Tories announced in their policy today. The policy would apply regardless of whether they had children. They would expect to be booted out within 6 months, apparently. Only UK nationals and those with settled EU status would be eligible for council houses going forward. New arrivals from the EU would not qualify, while couples in which neither partner is a UK or EU citizen with settled status would also be banned from getting a council house. So this is actually another case of the Conservative Party trying to clean up their own mess. Let's just have a little look at how bad the problem is. So across London as a whole, 47.6% of social housing is apparently occupied by households where the lead tenant was born outside the UK, so where the lead tenant is a foreign national. The London Borough of Brent actually features the highest localised rate. 61% of social housing is occupied by foreign-born residents. Now, across the UK as a whole, at the last count, around 11.5% of all social housing right across the UK is apparently taken up by foreign nationals. In fact, the First Lady of Sierra Leone actually had a council flat in London, which is hilarious. So did the hook-handed hate cleric, Al-Qaeda and Taliban enthusiast Abu Hamza. In fact, he didn't just have a little flat, no. He was given a 5-bedroom council house in Shepherd's Bush. Apparently, his family still live in it, even though he's currently in prison in America for being an absolutely massive jihadi terrorist. It's remarkable. Westminster Council, which was under Labour control at the last election, even released a video in multiple different languages, telling foreign nationals how they could get social housing.
في بلدية ويستمنستر حاليا بتغيير طريقة عمل الإسكان الاجتماعي.
আমরা আপনারা জানাতাম স্যার যে ওয়েস্টমিনস্টার কাউন্সিল আমরা হাউজিং রেজিস্টার সিস্টেমরে বদলাইতাম আপনারা লাগে
Estamos cambiando la manera en que asignamos la vivienda social en Westminster.
Yeah, they even did it in Spanish and French as well, which is I find that fascinating. And this problem will get worse because we had the Boris wave of immigration. Now, the Tory government issued 3.8 million long-term visas. This resulted in a total net migration influx of 2.6 million people. And it will not be long before they reach the 5-year threshold, get indefinite leave to remain, and bingo, they are on the social housing waiting list, or at least they could be. Apparently, there are already about 1.3 million households on the social housing waiting list. So I want to ask the panel and the audience, should foreign nationals be booted out of council houses and banned from getting them in the first place? Christo, your views on this?
Yes.
Right. OK, thank you, Christo.
I think the detail of this policy is what's important, because there are 1.3 million households on the social media waiting list. Social housing. Social media waiting list? Oh, God. To get on TikTok. On the social housing waiting list. And we are, if we go back to the debate we're having about the railways, all of those things. I mean, Andy Burnham, you know, by the way, he loves Manchester, in case you didn't know. He has pledged this social housing, housing boom. That's nonsense. That's never going to happen, because if we go back to railways, go back to airports, we can't build anything in this country, and if we do, it takes 60 years of judicial reviews. So that is not going to happen. The easiest way to free up council housing is to make sure, if you're going to have it, you are a British citizen. Now, if you become a British citizen because you have wanted to invest in becoming part of the United Kingdom, then you are still eligible for a council house. This is specifically for foreign nationals. So it means people like my dad. My dad was born in Greece, came here in 1970. He's watching at home now, I'm sure. Hi, Dad. And but he's worked, paid taxes, never taken a penny off the state. If he found himself in a situation where he needed social housing, well, he'd probably have to whistle for it, bearing in mind the waiting list. But he's become a British citizen. He's paid into the system. It would be fair he had one. If he wasn't a British citizen, it wouldn't be. It's really simple, and I don't know why anyone is finding it controversial.
OK. All right.
Well, the ones that find it controversial are those who are ideologically married to this idea that Britain owes the world everything. And what Kemi Badenoch is doing, and this plan that she has, it sounds good. It's a step in the right direction. And I think a lot of people will agree with that because, again, polling shows that, you know, people are really fundamentally unhappy with how the government is dealing with housing right now. Now, it's still a promise. They're not in government at the moment. So, and I think at this point, people are quite disillusioned with politics and politicians. So it's just yet another promise. People want to see an action. And you mentioned Andy Burnham. He's, you know, the man of the moment, right? And he talks about wanting to liaise across parties. This is what he should be talking to Kemi about. You have Labour MPs and representatives saying that this is, you know, horrible, and what about the refugees? And we are at this point now that we have to put British people first, British citizens first, those who have paid in. I will repeat again, we do not owe the world anything or everything.
All right. The arguments against it, and it was interesting the way that the Independent wrote this up online, left-wing newspaper. They very much went off the idea that the Tories under this, they would be making not just adult foreign nationals, but their children homeless. That's what they were going at here. So is it fair to say to someone who has been in the country, say, 4 years or probably longer, get a social housing, get a council house, to say, right, you've got 6 months to get out, and the implication there being, of course, if you can't support your family, you're going to have to leave?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I agree with what both these guys said. There's obviously a fairness principle here, that if you're British and you pay into the system, you should take priority in this scenario. But I think there are some practical considerations as well, which is, OK, they have 6 months. I think the Independent mentioned that there'd be about 230,000 households that would be affected by this. I would imagine a lot of them will not find private accommodation within 6 months, given the state of the housing market. It's just a practical reality. So where do they go? They're possibly in temporary accommodation. You might argue, well, they should go back to the country they came from. I think it's unlikely. So they're either homeless. They're either homeless or.
But
I mean, again, I agree with the principle.
It's the removal of an incentive, isn't it? Again, it's
sure. But what do you do with those who are already here?
Like the scrapping of the two-child benefit cap. We've got. I mean, I actually had a look on that specifically about the two-child benefit cap because I wanted to see actually what do you get in a lot of these countries. So, for example, Pakistan and Bangladesh. If you are unemployed and have more than 2 kids, what is it you get? And the answer is basically, genuinely, a big bag of rice every couple of months and the equivalent of about $5. You don't get a house, you don't get anything. So it's no wonder, is it, that people do want to come from those countries to our country so that you can end up, even if you're not happy with your house, you get somewhere to live, you get all the benefits, you get everything. So it's a removal of some of that incentive, isn't it?
Bearing in mind the cost of living at the moment in the UK, that bag of rice is quite valuable.
Yes.
You could probably do quite well with that.
Well, there you go. What do you think, Andy? Because, look, unquestionably, we obviously do need more social housing. In the unlikely event that they actually build much, which I'm not sure they will be able to build much, we do need to get some people out of it, don't we?
Yeah, I think that there are a couple of levels to this. You know, the statistic that you quoted in your monologue about 40-odd%, I think it was 47% of lead tenants in London in council housing being born outside the UK. That doesn't anticipate, as Christo said, people who have now become British citizens. I'd be quite interested to see the breakup of those that were born outside and those.
I'll tell you what.
Well, I think if you're a British citizen. On paper.
But hang on a minute. But why should it be the case that someone who, with the exception of someone in Christo's example, his dad's been here for like however many years, 50-odd years.
Well, it takes 10 years to be a citizen, doesn't it?
OK, so you come from a different country to our country, and you hang around a little bit, and we give you a passport, and then we give you a house.
Well, I think if you spend 10 years, here working as you have to, and assimilating and all the rest of it, I think if you've been here for 10 years, it's fair enough that you become a citizen. It's by the by, that was a throwaway point, but I'll ignore that. I think one of the big issues, as Adam rightly raised, is if you are going to throw out 200,000, however many people this is,
230,000.
They're all going to go on to temporary accommodation, which is more expensive for councils. That means more councils will go bust and have to get bailed out by the government. And I think there is a real bizarre thing that Kemi Badenoch has said that it's only non-EU nationals that she's going to apply this to. I thought Brexit meant Brexit. Why are we, changing the rules for people in the EU to people not in the EU? I thought, everyone's a foreigner now. Brexit means Brexit. It's been 10 years since the referendum. Why are we dog whistling about, EU guys are OK, but non-EU nationals are OK? What's the difference fundamentally? If you're making the argument about foreign nationals, surely it's foreign nationals.
Of course.
There's a chap on the front row who's got the microphone. Do you want to make a point on this, or are you just holding the mic?
Yeah, I'm just doing it for fun.
OK, go on. No, you'd be amazed, because I've thrown a couple of people under the bus that way in a big way before. So go on, what would you like to say, sir?
Yeah, so with the Tories revealing their plans to evict foreigners from social housing, are they just copying reform?
Well, it's interesting, because that is what reform are saying, isn't it?
Are reform saying that?
Yeah.
They come out.
And they are somewhat solving a problem that the Conservatives had a very, very big part in creating. The one bit of the argument that I agree, the practicality of you two making about what would we do with those people, I also wonder whether there is an argument that we completely change our benefit system and national insurance system to start looking at what people have paid in compared to what they might need to take out at some point. Because, for instance, you might have someone who perhaps hasn't yet become a British citizen, has been here 9 years, has worked really hard, paid into the system, paid loads of tax, and then find themselves on hard times. Well, I'd far rather that person got social housing than someone who's become a British citizen, taken benefits and not contributed at all, but they get social housing instead. So I wonder if there's nuance into how much people put in the system.
I think there's a bit of nuance here that I find it a bit funny on GB News, and I respect the platform and I enjoy being on this show. But we're talking about that 1.3 million who are on the social housing list. I know comrades on this panel and plenty of contributors to GB News that would talk about those 1.3 million if they were to get council housing with disdain. They'd call them good for nothings. They'd call them scroungers. They'd call them burdens on the system. Lee Anderson especially often talks about how problematic social housing tenants are. So I think there is this bizarre duality of thought that we've got where if it's the 1.3 million on the list, they're all moral class and they're all super sound. But as soon as they get it, they're scroungers and they're good for nothing. So I do think there is a real duality of thought here.
I think you're kind of building a little bit of a straw man argument there.
It's true.
I don't think it's true. I'll tell you why. I think most people accept that there is a need for council and social housing, absolutely, unequivocally. You know, some of my friends growing up were in council houses, you know, and it's a good thing that they exist. But I feel like at the moment there is a case where those council houses are not necessarily going to British people who've paid into the system or who even like our country particularly. And whilst we've got things like, roughly speaking, 7,000 homeless military veterans, single mums who have to flee domestic abuse and cannot get social housing. I mean, I'm seeing that some of them, I interviewed with them, some of them have been put genuinely in shipping containers in Ealing because there isn't social housing. But then you have a look at a neighbouring area, Brent, where apparently 67% of social housing has gone to foreign nationals. That cannot be fair, can it?
No, I agree. I think there should have been industrial council house building over the last 4 years. It was your woman Thatcher that sold off all the council houses. Right to buy. She sold off all the council houses and didn't build any more of them. That was the problem. That was the problem. She did.
Don't you dare go for my Margaret.
She did.
She gave people the opportunity to have their own home.
And she didn't build any more of them. They were community assets and she sold them off, and that's why we're in the situation we are.
Not building more, and Labour not building more from 19...
Yeah, I agree. They were wrong for that.
All right. So we are going to bring you some breaking news now. GB News can confirm that the attempted burglary referred to Counter-Terrorism South East took place at a London property owned by Reform UK leader Nigel Farage. Investigators are looking into the death of former MP Anne Widdecombe, and they've reopened an old burglary case. So after identifying a potential lead that was missed at the time, they are now looking at this. The attempted burglary was reported to the Metropolitan Police in Greater London last April, but the investigation was later closed with no arrests. Officers now say that a line of inquiry which may have been relevant was not identified or pursued during the original investigation. The handling of the case has been referred to the IOPC, and the police watchdog is now investigating the conduct of a staff member at Counter-Terrorism Police. So I just want to reiterate a couple of the points here, because I get that with breaking news sometimes it doesn't all go in the first time round. GB News can now confirm that the attempted burglary referred to by Counter-Terrorism South East in relation to their investigations following the murder of Anne Widdecombe is a property owned by Reform UK leader Nigel Farage, and they are concerned that they may have missed a potential line of inquiry the first time round. There is also a line here about how they are investigating the conduct of a staff member at Counter-Terrorism Policing. No doubt there will be more details on that as we get the front pages in, but I just wanted to bring that to you. Look, coming up, well, Reform UK have also unveiled some plans for a large-scale military operation in the Channel. Is that the right thing to do, though? Should we be using the Navy to stop the boats? And, of course, I need to talk to you as well about the early prisoner release scheme. All of that and much more coming your way.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter?
So that's a very live question.
Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way.
You will not want to miss it, trust me. The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christys tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
We can allow.
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you very much. I just want to start, I'll take a little bit of, by way of noise, a little bit of a straw poll in the room. Who in this room thinks we should put the Navy in the channel? Yes. OK, does anyone not think we should? You don't need to feel alone here. No? OK, all right, so it's pretty unanimous then. Well, could the Navy be used to stop the small boat crossings? Reform UK are unveiling Operation Fortress, which is their plan to deploy the Royal Navy and the Royal Marines to return illegal migrants to the shores of France and Belgium. Nigel Farage believes the plan would see a drop in channel crossings.
But under a reform government, within a fortnight, there would be no more boats. And whilst this issue may not be uppermost in the minds of many in Westminster, I can tell you out in the country, it is. And that comes down to a simple point: fairness.
So, the plan is already facing questions over whether or not it's legal or practical. France has warned that landing British forces on its shores would violate French sovereignty and international law. The jokes there do write themselves, though, don't they, to be fair? We go back to D8. Anyway, so, yes, look, with this now then, would it work? Can it be done, Adam?
I didn't know we had a Navy. Do we have a Navy?
No.
I mean, it was Farage himself who said, I think 6 months ago, our Navy basically doesn't exist. And now he's saying we can mobilise all these... We couldn't get one ship to the Mediterranean when it was kicking off in the Middle East, and now we've got to have this armada in the Channel. Okay.
Are you anti-armada?
In principle, I'm very pro-armada. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah. But I just really question its practicality. And actually, I was speaking to someone who used to... who was a source within the previous Tory government, shall I say, who had some hands-on with this area. And they came up with some really wacky ideas. I mean, someone should write a book on it. They genuinely thought about having a massive net in the channel. They thought about, I think, mines at one point.
A wave machine.
Wave machine.
Yeah, but actually,
they thought about sonic boom weapons.
Now a really good idea. The wave
we
machine.
don't have a Navy.
Like centre parks.
Yeah, because it is. Because when we've had all this good weather and Labour have been going, you see the boat crossing has been down despite the good weather, it doesn't matter about the weather. It's not about how hot it is. It's about the direction of the waves, direction of the wind and the size of the waves. So actually, a wave machine that would be able to generate just enough wave in order to put it in the other direction would actually be the perfect solution.
No, but then you affect the commercial shipping routes. I don't know.
No, they're bigger boats. So they don't mind. It's not like an oil tanker's brought down by somebody the same level of wave that would stop a dinghy, is it? See?
I don't know much about wave machines.
Not just a hat, my friend. Anyway, no, but...
Not all of them are massive, though, so it would affect them.
I do think that what reform seems to be saying anyway, that there is maritime law that does support this. Are you against this? Ada, what do you think?
No, I am not against this. I don't actually think it's some big radical thing. I don't think it's so extreme like some people try to make out it is. I mean, extreme compared to what? Tens of thousands of people coming freely, you know, some of them potentially compromising our safety, women's safety. A lot of them, no doubtedly, burdening our already stretched system. So this isn't some big radical thing. A lot of you agree, and the poll, more in common poll. 60% of people agree, so it can be done. And for those saying that there are laws, you know, French sovereignty, what about British sovereignty? And one of the clearest ways to secure your sovereignty is through controlling your borders, and we're not doing that. So, yes, send them out, send the boys out.
There we go. There's a chap with a microphone there, sir. What would you like to say?
Hello, Patrick.
Hello.
It's a good show last night, by the way, Essex.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, we weren't there, but we saw it on the TV. It's lovely.
Oh, thank you
Beautiful.
very much. I
Happy
appreciate
birthday.
that. Cheers.
Patrick, my name's Glyn Evans. I'm from the naval capital of United Kingdom, the home of the Royal Navy. That's Portsmouth. Of course, I'm very proud of the Royal Navy. But when we're talking about an armada, it won't be an armada, because if you listen to Nigel Farage, we're not going to stick aircraft carriers, destroyers, frigates. We've got fast patrol boats out there, and these things whiz along there at like 50 knots, and you've got no chance. And it's not just the Royal Navy, it's the Royal Marines, it's the Royal Air Force that you've got up there as well. So you're going to have lots of surveillance going on. They'll know exactly where these boats are coming from, and these fast boats will be able to get there very fast. Nigel Farage has got a very, very good friend the other side of the Atlantic. The minute he says, Mr. Trump, we need a few ships over here, do you think Donald's going to say no chance? He's going to come over here because he doesn't like what's happening to the migration in Europe as well. So there's so very proud of our Royal Navy, all of our military service, and it will work. And also another thing, it's going to help France, because instead of us giving millions and millions of pounds to the French, why don't we just loan them an army? Because they just got some Nancy police over there doing nothing. Well, they have. They got nothing over there. Put the military on there. It will stop them coming, and it will do the France a favour.
OK, all right, well, there you go. Apologies for a slightly fruity turn of phrase there, but there we go. Yes, well, indeed. But yes, I can't work out why you were shaking your head there, Christo.
Look, this is a great idea, but it's unfortunately without more detail, and that's always the slight flaw, I think, with Nigel Farage. I think this is an idea most people are going to be in favour of. But if we don't get the detail, it's nonsense. And I'll tell you why it's nonsense. Because it's been tried. 2022, the government, the Conservative government, had a majority. Priti Patel instructed the Navy and the Marines, exactly who you have just outlined, to do just this. And they outright refused. Now, well, yeah, absolutely. But we need to know what they would do if they refuse again. There was a pushback rejection by Royal Navy and military chiefs. They said safety and legality concerns. They would not do what they considered dangerous manoeuvres. They even put a post on the then Twitter about it.
I'm sorry, but seriously, having had the honour and the privilege of, especially in this job, meeting various different members of our armed forces, I can guarantee you it would not be a hard job to find a group of people who would be perfectly happy to do this. Tell you why they rejected it, Christo, because that will have been some kind of press release from some person who's probably never served a day in their lives. Some of them will be, right? Some of them won't be, and completely infected by all of the woke rubbish that's been going on in these things. And actually, if you ask your average man and woman who serves this country in the military, they would see it as an absolute honour and a privilege to defend our borders in the Channel. 100%.
I don't disagree with that, but the problem is we need to know then that that's what they're going to do. Are they going to force the military? Are they going to have some sort of other border force that is going to do this? Because as it was, when it was asked of the military before, and you're quite right, it might have been higher-ups in the military. The people who are practically out there, like yourself as well, might have been absolutely up for it, but the commanders in the Royal Navy and the Marines refused outright. So we need to know how would reform get around that problem. That's all. I feel like I'm Mr. Practical tonight. I mean, I keep popping like little balloons.
So why is it OK then, Andy, for, as we saw in recent days, for Spain to use the military, who are in the ECHR as well, to use the military to defend their border and then immediately deport tens of thousands of people, if you believe that they have actually deported tens of thousands of people? Why is it OK for them to do it, but we can't put Navy in the Channel?
Well, this is the great question, I suppose, of reform, because I remember at their party conference last year in September, it was actually overshadowed because Angela Rayner resigned, but Nigel Farage made the commitment that within, I think it was 90 days of a reform government coming to power, all the boats would stop and we would have left the ECHR. He then had to re-clarify and say that within 90 days of leaving the ECHR that would take a couple of years to do, all the boats would stop. And now, 11 months on, he's now saying that within, 2 weeks, a month? I can't remember exactly what he said, but a much shorter time frame, that all the boats would stop immediately because the Navy would be in the channel. I think there's just a lack of consistency from Reform on their policy. I mean, you had, the whole mess, was it yesterday or the day before, when they announced this policy about whether or not the British servicemen and women were going to be on France's beaches or not, whether they were just going to push the migrants off onto the beaches, whether they're going to escort them off. I think there's just a lack of clarity, because I don't want, we can laugh about it and go, yes, send the Navy in, ha, 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 ha. But then, if a young British Royal Marine, and it won't be us, it won't be the chattering classes, it'll be some working class lad from Mansfield or Sutton or somewhere like that, who was then arrested by the French because they've invaded their country. I think this is just it's a complete lack of idea.
That wasn't why they refused last time. They refused because
that's what they do.
The safety of the migrants.
The issue is with Reform, they haven't clarified whether they would send British service people onto the beaches of France, because then that would be objectively a military invasion. And I don't think it's fair to be gambling with the lives of young working class people like that.
I'm sorry, but I do actually look at what's going on in France at the moment and see the French police aiding and abetting the invasion of Britain. And I think, well, hang on a minute, why don't we care more about that?
But we're TV pundits. We're not experts in law. We're not experts in military. If the First Sea Lord is saying, no, it's not good, if the First Sea Lord is going, no, this isn't tangible, I'll believe him.
Maybe we need another Sea Lord, OK? Because this is an invasion of Britain that's taking place, and the French...
So what we need to do, we need to invade France.
Every single day, towing illegal migrants, pretty much, into British waters. That is, they are complicit.
That's why numbers are down year on year. Year on year, numbers are massively down.
Let's see where we are at the end of the year.
It will be down.
Okay.
It will be down.
But I still think they're far, far too high. That's the point.
It's a long-term strategy. It's a long-term strategy.
There shouldn't be one.
Patrick, it's a long-term strategy.
And this is what people don't understand. Regular people don't care actually about percentages by 1%. They actually don't. What they see is their communities and their cultures changing.
The communities and cultures not being changed by 200,000 small boat migrants. They're not being changed by that. They are not being changed by that. They're being changed by complete underfunding of our councils. It has absolutely destroyed our local communities. It is not.
Go and talk to those people who are
with respect, I'm from a quite small working class town in the East Midlands, Mansfield, which
And has it got a military barracks with 1,000? Has it got a population?
It's got a military barracks. It's got a military barracks. It is not small boats migrants. It is not a small boat. It is not small boats migrants that have ruined Mansfield's high street. It is not small boat migrants. It is not small boats migrants that have taken away their industry. It is not small boat migrants that have decimated the schools there.
And this is what
that is not small boat migrants' fault.
A lot is that you pick a completely different thing.
No, she's talking about the decimation of our communities and our high streets. It is not small boat migrants that have done that.
I can give you loads of examples of places.
It is not. It is not.
Have you heard of a place called Linton on Ouse?
It is decades of deindustrialisation and austerity. It is not small boat migrants that are the cause of the degradation of our society. It is not.
I'm afraid to say to you, it is not the degradation of our society, the underfunding of things that has led to.
It is. It's the removal of industry and it's the removal of council funding. That's what it is.
That has led to military barracks in small British villages being filled with hundreds of young illegal men. That has got nothing to do with underfunding.
That's not the degradation of our communities and our society.
Yes, it is. It's the degradation of those.
It's the removal of industry and the removal of our local services. That's what it is. Come on. It is not 200,000 small boat migrants.
Stand up for working class people when it suits you, but not when it really matters.
Small boat migrants are working class people.
Welcome to Orlis Santi by Domes Resorts. I'm in one of their beautiful sea view rooms. Luxurious, right? And there's just 2 weeks left to see how you too could be enjoying the 5-star lifestyle. There's over £65,000 in cash and gold to be won. First, you can bank an incredible £60,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. That's cash you could save, spend the rest of the year spending, or just relax somewhere like here. the award-winning Somas bar. We'll also give you a fine gold bullion bar worth over £5,000. Just make sure you don't miss out as lines close on the 21st of August.
For a chance to win, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Heat is still a big talking point across parts of Europe at the moment, as well as the fact that there's a lot of dry weather not helping with the ongoing wildfire risk in many places. For Spain, yes, there will be a few showery bursts of rain around tomorrow, but not many, and temperatures are set to rise again as we go into next week. It's still hot across Italy, and there could be some thundery downpours here and there, as well as across parts of Greece, the potential for some thundery showers here. Lots of dry weather into next week, with temperatures for some rising.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Good evening. Coming to you from the Met Office, this is your latest GB News weather update. There's more wet weather to come across northern parts this weekend, but further south, where we really are in desperate need for some significant rain, it's staying drier and turning hotter, all because we have high pressure dominating here. Further north, a different story, with a front gradually making its way southeastwards this weekend. It's already brought a fair amount of rain to northwestern parts of Scotland today, and will continue to do so as we go overnight. Many other places will have a dry night, but a bit of cloud and a few spots of rain pushing into Northern Ireland later on as we head towards dawn. With lots of clear skies across England and Wales, it is going to be a fresh night. Temperatures in some places similar to last night could get as low as maybe 4, 5, 6 Celsius, that kind of thing. Possibly as low as 3 Celsius, perhaps in some prone spots. So we wake up tomorrow morning to a bit of a fresh start. There will be a bit of cloud around some parts of England and Wales, but it should be mostly bright. Similar for parts of Northern Ireland, but the chance of some thicker cloud and some rain is there, especially in the west. And then southern parts of Scotland, a few outbreaks of rain here across more central northern parts, especially northwestern areas. Well, here it's going to be wet and quite blustery. Then that front, as I mentioned, does gradually make its way southeastwards through the day. So rain spilling in across Northern Ireland and across much of Scotland too, perhaps reaching some parts of northern England later on in the afternoon, maybe North Wales as well, seeing a few showers perhaps. Elsewhere across England and Wales, often dry, well, actually pretty much totally dry. There'll be some sunshine as well and temperatures higher than today, getting into the high 20s Celsius. That rain in the north edges a little bit further southwards as we head into Sunday, so central southern Scotland, northern England, Northern Ireland having a fairly wet day. A bit drier across the far north of Scotland, but the sunniest weather will be across central and southern England, where we're going to see temperatures getting back into the low 30s with more dry and at times hot weather to come next week.
From cold mornings
to warm family brunches,
from football to tennis in the car,
in the kitchen.
GB News Breakfast is there with the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
We're here again to start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Britain is not just a geographical expression. We are a people bound together by history and culture that are distinctively British. Join me to celebrate our music, theatre, artworks and literature, which we can explore and enjoy together.
Everybody's welcome.
Sunday with Michael Portillo. Every Sunday at 11 a.m. on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
serious issues with Britain's justice system. First, the government's controversial early release scheme that would see about 5,000 offenders released at minimum, including 2 of PC Andrew Harper's killers, who will be eligible to leave prison after serving just half of their sentences. And today, a serial sex offender who was being monitored by the Metropolitan Police has been found guilty of murdering 2 women and raping a 3rd in London. This came just months after the police had deemed him less dangerous because of his poor sight. Simon Levy killed Carmenza Valencia Trigdro in March 2025 and Cheryl Wilkins 5 months later. Levy also raped a 3rd woman in January of last year. So there you go. I mean, before he committed the murders, like I said, the Met basically downgraded his level of risk. Ada, I know you were quite keen to talk about this particular chap and this particular case. What do you think is going wrong here with our justice system and everything?
OK, so I think, firstly, they're spending their energy on the wrong things somehow. And the institutional rot in the police system is getting out of hand. So this was a prolific sexual predator, by their own admission. And, you know, a string of failures could have prevented these 2 women, these people, from being harmed. You even have someone, like we heard him say, that they missed opportunities, and then you have the sorries, you have the mistakes were learned. People want competence. They want to know that they are adults in a room, and the adults in the room responsible for our safety are getting it right. With the 5,000 prisoners being released early. The thing about that is the Labour Party, Andy Burnham, they're making it sound like, of course, we know that prisons are full, so they're making it sound like they're handling a crisis, but they're actually creating more of a crisis because you are putting criminals out on the streets. And when you have, you know, leaders of probation services and so on saying that they're not willing to handle this, then I think we're in serious, serious trouble here.
Well, we definitely are. Christy, do you think Mark Rowley should resign?
Yes.
OK.
Yeah. Look, you're absolutely right to point out. Like, I was reading this earlier, and I just wanted to look at it again. This string of absolute failures, because you know the Metropolitan Police, when he first committed the rape, didn't formally interview the woman involved, arrested him for apparently this other murder, but then released him. Then the British Transport Police, you know, had arrested him 3 times over horrific sexual assaults on public transport, but then granted bail. So basically, you have this scenario where this guy was arrested, was in the police's hands, and was repeatedly let go. That is bad enough. But then it all goes back to, I think, this sense of fairness. When you look at the stories we were talking about earlier, Jason Arday, the journalist being investigated, the police use resources on nonsense like that, and then when there is a murderer and a rapist that is literally in the police station, they let them go. That is what I think drives people absolutely mad, and that is why Mark Rowley and more heads need to roll.
OK.
It's not just Mark Rowley.
Very quickly, Andy, your views on whether or not...
I mean, I know I've gone on about structural failures over the long term. I do think genuinely prisons is one. You had, you know, Tories that didn't create more prisons but increased the sentences of people. So they caused more people to go to prisons because, you know, with the crime policing bill, they increased the mandatory sentences for lots of other crimes. And I think this is something that goes back to the Labour government of the 2000s. I think over the last 20 years, we've, you know, cracked down on more people, you know, rightly so, I think, but we've not increased the prison capacity. At the minute, we're at 97, 98% of our prisons. If one of those, in men's prisons, if one of those prisons has an electricity outage or water outage, we're done. No one else can go to prison. So I think, actually, it's a really, really difficult one where it takes 6 years to build a prison. We've got more prisoners than ever coming through, and I think it's really, really, really difficult. It's not necessarily the Met Police's fault. I think it's, you know, a structural failure of the MOJ and the Home Office over 20 years.
All right. Look, sorry, Anna, we're going to have to move on, just because I do want to leave a bit of time for our final segment, but I need to say that the Met has since reviewed its handling of the Levy case and made a voluntary referral to the Independent Office for Police Conduct. In January 2026, they are carrying out an independent investigation which is ongoing. We've also heard from the Chief Crown Prosecutor for the CPS, who said our actions fell short of the standards that victims' families and the public are entitled to expect. We recognise our responsibility and we are sorry for the shortcomings we have identified. Well, there we go. Well, look, I thought obviously it's been a bit of a heavy topic, that, to say the least. So I thought we'd try and lighten it up to finish the show with Greatest Britain Union Jackass. Going to need a lot of audience participation. You get to decide it. So we'll do that when we come back.
Britain's Newsroom. Weekday mornings from 9:30.
Yes, the Malaysian government has announced that it will renew the search for Malaysia Airlines flight MH370, which disappeared 10 years ago without a trace.
Yes, the plane was carrying 239 people from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. Previous attempts to locate the plane have all failed, leaving the families of those on board without any kind of closure.
Well, for more on this, let's speak to Terry Tozer, a former airline pilot and author of Confessions of an Airline Pilot, Why Planes Crash. Terry, you sound like the perfect man to talk to about this, because this is perhaps the biggest aviation mystery of our modern age.
Yeah, it is, and obviously a great tragedy as well. It's good to know that they're going to have another crack at trying to find it.
GB News, the People's Channel. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is just health and safety gone mad. It's not the role of public authorities to be telling people what's for their best interest. And the reality is, it's probably better to take the chance of a tree branch falling on you than going out in the sun and getting getting burnt in the sun. But the reality is, the reason why these councils are saying you've got to stay out of underneath the trees is they don't want anybody to get struck by a branch which they have a liability to, whilst they don't have a liability for anybody getting sunburnt. So it's all to do with public liability. I mean, if you look at East Cheshire Council, for example, in 2024, they had to pay out £500,000 because a branch fell on somebody.
GB News, the People's Channel. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
In my hand, I have a colander. I have a piece of paper. Yes, there you have one too. So I'm going to run it so you can see me. So I think what you do is you shine, you indicate, you tell me what to do, and I'll do it for you.
You never look at the sun directly.
Yep,
you
good.
allow the light to go through the colander, and that'll actually act as a pinhole camera and project images of the sun onto the piece of paper, and then you can look at the piece of paper and see the eclipse take place. Simple as that. You can do it also by using binoculars or a telescope and projecting an image through from them onto a piece of paper.
Yep.
That will work just as well. Or get a bucket of water, let it settle, and look in the bucket of water, and you'll see the image of the sun in the water, and then you can observe the eclipse that way.
GB News, the People's Channel.
OK, welcome back, everybody. Thanks very much. So, time to round off the show with Greatest Britain Union Jackass. We're going to start this one with Union Jackass. Adam, you go first.
I mean, we've already mentioned him tonight. James O'Brien, well done, mate. Union Jackass. Although I have slightly moderated my view because, like I said earlier, it's fantastic that Mr. Ade got him to admit that he was a mug, so maybe he should be praised for that. But look, the guy sells a book. What is it? How to Be Right?
Yeah.
He still sells that book, if you can believe it. It's still on the shelves at Waterstones. How to Be Right. James O'Brien. Sorry, mate. Union Jackass. There we go.
Nice. Good start. OK, Christo, who's your Union Jackass?
Well, the man who's caused the angst for James O'Brien, Jason Ade. It's recently been revealed he now invented the wheel. Congratulations, Jason, for that. But, of course, all of this nonsense that we've had from him this week is why he's my Union Jackass.
OK, all right. Well, solid start here. Go on, Ada.
Mine is Harriet Harman. So she recently came out and said that the next leader of the country has to be a woman. And she's also said once that when men are in the room, then things go wrong all the time. Actual quote. This is a peer. in the House of Lords.
OK, all right. Well, there we go. Good. Right, go on then, Andy.
Mine is Reform UK MP Sarah Pochin. She did a quite silly tweet about the French, talking about resolving the Battle of France. And if they cared so much about their sovereignty, why didn't they put up such a fight in World War II? 90 to 100,000 Frenchmen died in the Battle of France. I think that's pretty resolved. And I think it's just, this boomer attitude of... She was born 20 years after the World War II ended, but she still kind of claims the glory. I think she's just a bit of a loser, to be honest.
Oh, OK. Well, there you go. Don't hold back. Right, let's vote on Union Jackass then. Does anyone think the Reformed Sarah Pochin is a Union Jackass? No. You had a clap.
There was one at the back there. There was one at the back.
Then we've got Harriet Harman for Union Jackass. Anyone? All right. It turns out he'll just clap. I don't need the guy in the back. Then we've got Jason Arday. Or his now former friend James O'Brien. I think it's a tie. Right, OK, let's do Greatest Britain. So we'll start with Adam, your greatest...
Oh, yes, I've cheated because I've got two. I've got the Gallagher brothers, because Oasis are coming back again next year. Did anyone here have tickets last time?
Yeah, well,
yeah, fantastic. So they're going to do Nebworth next year. And, oh, my, Greatest Britain's ever to do it.
Fantastic. All right, yes, go on then. It says here, Ada, you're next. With your
I can't fully think, so I'm just going to go with someone I really admire, and that is actually Claire Fox. I think she is one of the greatest fighters for freedom of speech. She was also talking about this Jason Arday situation, really holding our institutions to account, and we need more warriors like her.
Oh, good stuff. All right. Well, that is, it's a very, very good one. OK, right, Christo, who's your Greatest Britain?
Well, I have gone for someone who's an honorary Greatest Britain. After the announcement this week that she could be doing a residency at Hyde Park after the duet with Kylie, it's Madonna!
Not again.
Yes.
Not Britain. Qualified it, mate. That's 4 weeks in a row.
No,
4 weeks in a row.
This is a homophobic incident. You do not have the right to disqualify me. I am leaving this panel.
What's your camera? We gave him pride lights. What more do you want? You got to be very quick.
John Turner. He's
Who's
a
that?
25-year-old cricketer, played for Hampshire in England, was retired at 25. Sad. I think he's great.
OK, well, I'm going to give my Greatest Britain to the Gallagher brothers.
Yeah.
I will see you all next week.
Today's outlook: cool, calm, and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good evening. Coming to you from the Met Office, this is your latest GB News weather update. There's more wet weather to come across northern parts this weekend, but further south, where we really are in desperate need for some significant rain, it's staying drier and turning hotter, all because we have high pressure dominating here. Further north, a different story, with a front gradually making its way southeastwards this weekend. It's already brought a fair amount of rain to northwestern parts of Scotland today, and will continue to do so as we go overnight. Many other places will have a dry night, but a bit of cloud and a few spots of rain pushing into Northern Ireland later on as we head towards dawn. With lots of clear skies across England and Wales, it is going to be a fresh night. Temperatures in some places similar to last night could get as low as maybe 4, 5, 6 Celsius, that kind of thing. Possibly as low as 3 Celsius, perhaps, in some prone spots. So we wake up tomorrow morning to a bit of a fresh start. There will be a bit of cloud around some parts of England and Wales, but it should be mostly bright. Similar for parts of Northern Ireland, but the chance of some thicker cloud and some rain is there, especially in the west. And then southern parts of Scotland, a few outbreaks of rain here across more central northern parts, especially northwestern areas. Well, here it's going to be wet and quite blustery. Then that front, as I mentioned, does gradually make its way southeastwards through the day. So rain spilling in across Northern Ireland and across much of Scotland too, perhaps reaching some parts of northern England later on in the afternoon, maybe North Wales as well, seeing a few showers perhaps. Elsewhere across England and Wales, often dry, well, actually pretty much totally dry. There'll be some sunshine as well, and temperatures higher than today, getting into the high 20s Celsius. That rain in the north edges a little bit further southwards as we head into Sunday, so central southern Scotland, northern England, Northern Ireland having a fairly wet day. A bit drier across the far north of Scotland, but the sunniest weather will be across central and southern England, where we're going to see temperatures getting back into the low 30s with more dry and at times hot weather to come next week.
Today's outlook: cool, calm, and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Welcome to Orla Santi by Domes Resorts, where we're celebrating with an incredible £60,000 to be won. Plus, we'll give you a fine gold bullion bar worth over £5,000. Don't miss your chance to win over £65,000 worth of prizes.
For a chance to win, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over.